should be working. Okay. Your boy is back. I know y'all miss me. Yeah. All right. Now, as y'all can see right here, I got my drive open. I want to start off this stream by saying this stream is a dedication to somebody who requested it by the name of Diaz, last name Diaz. You know who you are, bro. So shout out to you. I appreciate your question, and I'm going to answer it thoroughly within this video. I'm not going to do too long of an introduction, but I did want to make touches on some key points real quick. As far as the great architect of the universe, I've been saying that for a reason, calling myself that for a reason. I wanted to show y'all this picture real quick. This is a picture that actually was drawn or painted in 1250 AD, supposedly. I can't zoom in anymore, but if you could zoom in on that, and that right there that you can see where my mouse is at, there's a Mandelbrot. I've pointed this out once in the past too, once or twice. That's a Mandelbrot set, and that was made in 1250 when there was no computers around. So how do people know how to create something like that, or what this, where is this visible at? This is something that you can't see in nature, but this is something that was clearly drawn out. So as far as my point in bringing this up is because my work, like I'm saying, is exactly what a Mandelbrot set is. It's just its own nature of it. It's the underlying tree of it. And this is the Mandelbrot set, as you can see right here. It's the same exact thing as that. So I wanted to point that out. It's the exact same thing. And the human vision field, and things like that. I had this pulled up that I had pulled in here. And you can see that this, I've been telling y'all about the Chicana. So you're going to hear more about that today. Because I learned something else about that. So I might have to take y'all for a little ride and, watch a couple of videos that I already got posted on my own stuff. This is the vision field, like y'all be seeing, not vision field, but what generates the vision field, the retina, the eyes, and stuff like that, and their network. This is why you see the arms crossed on the pharaohs and stuff like that, and their hair garments and stuff like that reflects that as far as Egypt, and that's why the eye is so notorious there as well. So your vision deals with the magnetic field, because that's what you're looking at. It's bringing everything in just like a magnetic field would, to a center point. And the way that you see is very important. It has to deal with your own magnetic field. So you know what I'm saying. Let's X out of there. And as you can see right here on the beginning, this right here, not the beginning, but this right here, I chose to put as the template, the opening template. This is the Nazca Lines right here. So right here, you got the Nazca Line theme as a crop circle. This is the Nazca Lines thing, the very thing that I've been talking about as the crop circle. So, and you have to pay attention to the fact that every last point, everything is at 45 degrees. You're going to see this later on in the video. This is just an introduction, quick introduction. So everything is at 45 degrees. I'm not just saying that for no reason. That's very and highly significant. They didn't do that. Everything is at an 8-point star. The 8-point star is being communicated so much within this. And when you divide anything as far as a circle, or pretty much just a circle, when you divide it up evenly, you're gonna get 8 points, or 8 rays, which equals out to be 45 degrees each on the inside and out. And then if you make 16 of them, you get 32 on the inside and out with a center point, which would equal out to 33, you know, which is notorious with the Freemasons as well. So I just wanted to show that and introduce that real quick. Um, Real quick, you know, this is the Nazca Lines. This is an actual picture of it. So that, you know, people who be saying that the drawing that I've overlaid it on is a drawing and it's not accurate. Man, they actually go and show you in this video I'm about to show you these Nazca Lines, you're gonna see them from a ground level. You are going to see this from a ground level. And what I've been saying is the rocks, this is not made like just like a crop circle. You know, it's just a drawing. These are actual rocks laid in actual points at a specific area for specific reasons, which happen to line up perfectly with my work specifically. And that's not just by, you know, any chance, you know, just no chance at all. You know, and I've been proving that. And I mean, everything lines up, and that's no exaggeration. And I clearly explain it as well too. So, and this is the drawing overlay that they did. You know, it's the same exact thing. So when you be seeing this and I'll be showing this, it's the same exact thing as what I've already, you know, like the Nazca Lines itself. They just draw that to help other people be able to see it clearly, you know, because that's important. So now that that's out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and get the video going. Uh, okay. And firstly, I also, you know, as far as what, okay, you know, a lot of people probably question who wonder, you know, as far as where am I going with the Nazca Lines? Okay, so what, you know, it lines up, and, you know, you did an amazing job finding that out. It's on point, but what does it mean? Well, that's what the stuff I've been showing. I haven't just been up here showing organic, profound information just for no reason. I've been showing stuff for a reason, and it's been lining up. I've been showing clear evidence, backing my points and everything lines back up. Now, what did I tell y'all this was that I see within this main star right here? I said this is the Chicana that I have been telling y'all about. They are going to as well. You're gonna hear about that later. But as far as these Nazca lines and what do they mean and everything, I've been telling y'all that it's a map. I have, you know, and people probably think, how can you prove it's a map? You know, what would it be a map of? Like, what, you know, come on. At the end of the day, that's why I said, I said treasure, you know, because I said treasure because it's similar to a treasure map. I didn't say that it is treasure, but think about it. In the desert, what would be treasure to you? Water. This is in the middle of the desert, and I'm going to play a brief video. You know, this is so that people can be introduced and know what these lines mean. Because when people see these lines, they just thinking, you know, whatever they may think. I can't think for people or put words in people's mouths as far as what they're thinking. But I know that based on interaction, I can only assume. Um, and at the end of the day, I know a lot of people get what I'm saying. And the fact is, these lines lined up. These lines line up directly on point with my work, not just for no reason. And like I've been saying, it has to deal with the electromagnetic ley lines of the Earth. You know, I say ley lines because the ley lines that we do have, yes, people have already known of that to be some, but like I've said and shown and proven, they are a theory. I've made videos on that in the past. So they are a theory, so that means that it's still open for, new information, wiser information with more proof to back it and everything like that. Now, why would I say that mine is more worthy of that? Because those ley lines just tell you, that they show where different other monuments line up, and the Nazca lines are included with those ley lines that are already laid down. With the energy ley lines line up with each other. But what's the dimensions of the ley lines? How thick are the ley lines and things like that? That's why I showed y'all the dowsing rods and stuff like that. Because this right here deals with all of the water that's under the earth. That's what these lines has to deal with. That's the answer right there. The water, like I said, that is under the earth, which is one of the most valuable things that you can have. That's a fact, especially even in this world that we're living in. A lot of y'all probably don't know that they already talking about how much water we're not going to have in the future. So if we are already set up for failure as far as water, which that's clear. Look at the water that everybody is drinking, and then people ain't educated on it. Anyway, it's the things that really matter in life the most that we really seem not to care about or not cherish. That's why I said that water. I joked. I was serious about it. It was just a little joke though, about the treasure aspect because truthfully and honestly, treasure in a desert would be water. And that's just to be honest, nothing else, nothing less. It would be water, and that's just a fact. So what you see right here is the Chicana, and that's just a fact that I'm showing right there. This is the Nazca Lines are overlaid, and I'm about to get to the video playing now that's going to show you. You're going to hear from somebody even wiser. Like if you can't take the word of mouth from me of wisdom, you can see people who actually live there. When you got people out here who only question everything like that and stuff like that, such as Mr. Question Everything and his crew and everybody, you know, about the dry desert and how these people, ancient people, got water and stuff like that. Well, you have to think we ain't in their time, so you have to think like them. That's where meditating and stuff like that, actually putting yourself in another person's shoes, you can really, learn a lot from that. That's called empathy, being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes, feel what somebody else feels, at least, from your perspective. So this is what I'm about to play real quick, and I'm gonna let y'all watch this alone. I'm glad ain't nobody in here too. Kelly, it's just you. Just a second. I have to rewind it. I'm about to pull it up. Let me see. Also in the disaster, water, 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 running water. That's right. That's right. Wasn't crop circles deemed as a hoax? Yeah, I mean, that's what some people do say. A lot of people try to say that crop circles is, deemed as a hoax as far as, the cutting the grass and men could do. I'm not saying that every single crop circle formation is real. I'm not saying that. But it's a fact that some of them, most of them, human beings just can't do that. I know that with common sense, especially even in the time. And then there's been evidence on camera of them, being made without anything there. Uh, Let me see. Tripping right now. All right, there we go. Okay, we're at Nazca in Peru, and this is an ancient Nazca period irrigation system. It's called Puquio, but that actually refers to the circular holes in the background here, and an example of one behind. But this aqueduct system was very extensive between about 100 BC and 600 AD, with the termination of the Nazca, not empire, but Nazca civilization. And so you can see the water that's still running through it. That water comes from the Andes, which is a long way back to the east. And you can see it's been refurbished and it's functioning. The water is cold still because of the coolness. And most of the system, though, is it's a series of underground streams and rivers that run from the Andes area towards the Pacific Ocean. And so the Nazca and earlier Paracas people
people were clever enough to be able to find out where this underground system was. And that's also why some of the Nazca Lines exist. They're actually a map, or some of them are a map of the underground water system, because there is no surface water in this area. Without this underground system, this would be complete desert, but it's actually one of the most productive areas of agriculture in all of Peru.
Yo soy Joaquín, soy guía.
Now, this is actually somebody from there, that's plain as day. Plain as day said it. I just was talking about geomancy and water and things like that, how water and the dowsing rods and stuff. So, it's no, I talk and show my own ancestors, the Toltec, so people be talking about, their ancestors from Africa and all of this other type of stuff. I talked about my own ancestors, proved and showed from where I'm from, they had dowsing rod used type of material, and it did the same exact things, and that's what this stuff was being used for. Clean water is so essential. The water that goes through the ground goes through a filtration system. That's why one way that you can filter water is using rocks and running water through, and that's just a fact. A lot of people already know that, but this just is part of proving it. That's why water soaks. All of the water when it rains, it soaks down into the food. What the food doesn't eat, it goes into the ground. The process is never ending. It's always energy changing over into another form. The water, then molds crystals and all of those type of things, uh, and comes into play with that. Hence the quartz crystals and stuff I'll be talking about.
Oficial de turismo. Vamos a relatar lo que es la civilización Nazca. Nazca es una civilización que más o menos data de los 400 años antes de Cristo hasta 600 después de Cristo, que fue el apogeo Nazca. Se considera Nazca como capital Cahuachi. Cahuachi es un complejo muy grande donde abarcan las 24 hectáreas, como les ha dicho, 24 kilómetros cuadrados. Los nazcas fueron considerados grandes ingenieros hidráulicos. Su nombre deriva de un término quechua, nanasja. Nanasja significa dolor, tierra del sufrimiento. Nazca toda una vida ha sido desértico, seco. Por lo tanto, la poca agua que venía de las partes altoandinas de la sierra se ha
Another name for the Chicana is the Andean crossing. That's what he just explained. So now that that's been explained, what's about to be shown next is the Nazca Lines from on ground, like I've been saying, and everything is explained from there in this next video. And then I'll be getting at it.
Grammarly is your personal writing assistant for clear emails, confident messages, stronger essays, and more to help you and your kids get
I should do a count on how many times I see an 8-point star or 8 rays coming emitting from a central point within this video. Because the thing is, man, that's not just like that for no reason. That's just not just for no reason, man. The thing is, that's 45 degrees all day. Plain as day. And there's no way around that.
The Nazca Lines are one of the most intriguing mysteries of ancient Peru. Thousands of geometric shapes, trapezoids, lines, strips, and spirals have been drawn on the desert surface for unknown purposes. Many people are familiar with the outlines of the most famous giant drawings: a spider, a condor, and a monkey. The question that has always puzzled archaeologists and others who study the history of South America is, how did they get there? Who made the Nazca Lines? Why were they made? And made with such precision? The first real reports of the lines came from Peruvian military and civilian pilots who flew over the area in the 1920s. Located in southern Peru on the Nazca Plateau, the Nazca Lines are pre-Columbian geoglyphs, or large designs or drawings that have been etched into the desert sands. Nearly 300 of them have been discovered so far, and many consist of plants or animals such as a hummingbird, spider, fish, lizard, dog, and a human. Other shapes include trees and flowers. They cover an area of roughly 1,000 square kilometers or 386 square miles. Some of them can only be spotted from the air, while others can be distinguished from surrounding foothills and other high places. They are believed to have been created around 500 BC, but that is just an estimate. The Nazca Lines have puzzled archaeologists, historians, mathematicians, and others who have studied them extensively for decades. But few people.
So that's why I said exactly what I said. You know, at the end of the day, I know about this right here with ease. You know, mathematicians, they've been studying it for years. And here I come coming into the game with something brand new. And it lands right on point. And, you know, when you think about the fact of zooming into something infinitely, that's, you know, pretty much the four corners aspect, which is always signified within these religions and different things. And when they talk about the earth, and you know, it's always there. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, you know, the drawings and stuff is that's amazing as far as, you know, the drawings of the animals and stuff like that. But you know, even we do things like that. It's the geometric ones that matter. You know, that's what the ones that they show as far as the animals. That's over and over again. They pretty much show that to everybody. The geometry ones with the sacred geometry, like the ones that I've been showing, they're the ones that they keep hid, because number one, they don't know the full meaning behind them, or if they do know it, they want to keep it hid from the public so that they can't figure it out. Which is in my case, because see, I'm tying it in with the Freemasons and everything, so it makes it brings a lot of questions, not just about the ancestors, but just about the fact of the ancestors and what happened with them, the knowledge that could have been stolen from them, you know, in the midst of them coming from where they came from, coming over here disrupting what they did. So yeah, you know,
Few people know about the existence of another set of huge drawings that were only just recently discovered.
see,
The first of these were spotted by tourists who were flying over the Nazca Plateau in the 1990s. They are located between the Nazca Plateau and the city of Palpa. These geoglyphs are remarkably different from the Nazca Lines.
see that?
They
That's exactly what I've been showing y'all.
are known as estrellas, or stars. This is what they look like from the air. These drawings or designs are nothing like the traditional Nazca geoglyphs. These designs represent geometric and other mathematical equations that consist of circles, squares, and points. It is hard to make out these designs from the surface. They look like sloppy and uneven rows of stone.
See, stones sticking up. That's why I was saying this is actually on the ground where it's at. You know, this is ground level. This is first-hand experience.
Lines that could have been drawn by dragging a foot or a stick. Stones or heaps of stones have been piled at various locations.
See? So all of this stuff is put where it is, exactly big stones to mark a certain section, a certain point. To mark off the sectors, everything is where it's at for a reason. That's not just by chance, man. You know, this is all based on a reason. They know what they was doing.
Ancient and rotted poles have also been placed at the site of the Estrellas, which may or may not have been used by the builders. This is one of the largest designs ever discovered in Peru. It is more
One of the largest designs ever discovered. One of them.
than 130 meters or 142 yards in size. From a ground level view, it is nearly impossible to understand what is depicted. Academic science has largely ignored it. Some even call it nothing more than a tourist trap, which can be easy to understand. Yet, there are some who believe that whatever is depicted here has a much deeper meaning.
See? So that's important, you know. They don't know what the deeper meaning is, but I got something for them.
As it turns out, this is not the only image of this kind. On the edge of this plateau is another similar design that
That's the second 8-point star. 8 stars right all the way around.
was also just recently
Could have been a 6-point star. You got, I mean, that's what people talk about more than anything. The 6-point star. Why isn't it that? Why aren't the pyramids, you know, built since 369 is so prevalent, you know, and it's the key to nature and the key to the universe. Where is 369 prevalent within nature? You know, where do we find that prevalent within nature? We don't. You don't find 369 prevalent within nature. You just don't. And that's just a fact. But you find 4 and 5 prevalent within nature. That's a fact. Every human being nearly has, 4 fingers and not 4, 4 fingers in the thumb, but 5 fingers and 5, toes, 4 limbs, 1 head, 4 points and 1 control. 4 hands and 4 limbs and 1 controlling point. The point is the control. 4.5. 4.5 equals 9.
recently discovered. The design is marked on
See, all of these 8-point stars is, yes, they're 8, but if you made them into a 3-dimensional aspect, they would be pyramids, and that point in the center would be a star point, which is the starter point. That's why it's called a star in the first place. So the center point matters just as, it's without the center point, none of the other things would, exist. So that's why the center point counts. And when you count that center point, you end up with the number 9. So it's not just an 8-point star, it's about the 9 being expressed
on maps,
through the
and
8
locals
points.
call it the mandala. It is similar to the mandala designs of ancient India, and it means a circle or geometric design that holds a great deal of symbolism in Hindu and Buddhist cultures. Its size is about 120 meters or 131 yards wide. In detail, it differs from an estrella. Parts of it are very uneven, and another part is located at the bottom of the gorge.
See what that's doing is zooming in. That's exactly what this is doing. It's showing the aspect of zooming in. And just like my stuff does. And that's exactly what, that's how you will communicate digging into something,
Gorge.
Why would you need to dig? You would need to dig because of water, potentially. Not only water, but, magnetic fields, look much like this. So this is, that's crazy.
Time. The proportions of this geoglyph are very precise. The outline of it looks perfect when viewed from above, and its construction is very complex.
Oops.
Located next to this creation is yet another interesting and perplexing design. It connects to both sides of a canyon. Located at each end, there are depictions of small stars. Located in the middle is a large star with 16 rays of light, interesting and perplexing.
See, that's what I was
Located
saying,
next to this creation is yet another interesting and perplexing design. It connects to both sides of a canyon. Located at each end, there are depictions of small stars. Located in the middle is a large star with 16 rays of light or sunlight protruding from it. Keep this in mind, as it is similar to another design that will be shown later. During a flight over the pulpit,
16 in, 16 out. Because when you create the rays on the inside, you're going to create them by default on the outside. As far as a star, that's speaking on the star. But if it's a circle on that end, you're just going to have them 16 emitted from the inside. But the fact is, when you do it as a star and there's 16 rays, that's going to create 32 together. And then once you got your point, you got the 33. So the 3, 6, and 9 is coming into that aspect. The 3 plus 3 equals 9. That's where that comes in. I've never said, the 3, 6, and 9 100% ain't the key to the universe. It has no significance with anything. I'm saying that you ain't going to find it within nature. The aspect of 3, 6, 9, you're going to see 5-petal plants. You're going to see most of everywhere throughout nature, you're going to see that it's 4-legged beings, or, even fish got 2 fins. Most of them got 2 fins in the front, 2 fins in the back. It's just a code that, that I've picked up on that you're just going to see throughout reality, is that 4 corners and then 4 plus 1 equals 5. Just the quarter moons, and stuff like that. The moon being a quarter, so-called in their math as they commute, through the earth and everything, being a quarter radii of the entire earth itself, so.
Alpa area in 2010, we were fortunate enough to find several similar images in the same area. These are rather large and complex designs, and not always completely visible at first. They cannot be seen from satellite views of the area, and they are nearly impossible to spot from an airplane. The images only come into view with high-resolution photos. Part of this design can be seen through these pictures. A similar design with a much more complex pattern is located a few hundred feet away.
See, look at that. That's every last aspect of it. Dude, do you know how hard that is to make that? You can't even get around that. That's redundant 45 degrees. That's perfect 45 degrees. Everything there is at 45 degrees. This is a lattice. I just dropped a video talking about the lattice and everything. Just a quick video showing that. And yesterday, or 2 days ago, actually, I had a show where I was saying that this is like making a cube and everything. And that is just like making a cube. It's just like making a quartz crystal. Once you connected the upper dimensions to the lower dimensions of the whole aspect of the thing. I mean, it's everything there is 45 degrees, and it's just amazing. That is very hard artwork to make, and that's on the ground. That's crazy. How many? One, two, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. They share 8 points right there. 15 point right there. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 14. Okay, 14, 28, 29. 2 and 9 is 11. 2. 29, 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. That's the thing. So 14, 1 plus 4 equals 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. This stuff ain't just for no reason, man. That's crazy. It's everything matters. Every last aspect of it matters. All of that simplistic stuff matters.
In both cases, the design of each creation can only be spotted from the air.
And see what those spirals are right there. What that could be is something as far as the aqueducts. That could have been this could have been areas where they were actually getting ready to build things like aqueducts. That could have, maybe the animals and things like that could have been some type of designs, for the actual aqueducts themselves. But these could be ways and pathways for the water to reach and transverse through different stuff to get to a certain point of filtration and everything. Because the longer the line that the water goes through, the cleaner of the filtration process it does.
A bird's eye view of this design offers a different perspective, and the existence of this creation only creates more questions and mystery. This might be the most difficult and creative geoglyph on the Nazca Plateau. The center of this design is clearly visible. There are 8 layered circles in total. The width of
8 layered circles. So 8 again, with the center point that they have to be going around, which equals 9. 8 layered circles circled out evenly, which what this is the flower of life. That's exactly what that is, the flower of life, which is it's already known a lot. And that's still coming out to be at 45 degrees.
Of the central section is 35 meters or 114 feet.
When I say that's still coming out to be at 45 degrees, I'm saying that the center petals, the first most petals are all coming out. That's going out 45 degrees. That's going out straight to the center. This is going out 45 degrees. This is going down straight to the center. This is going out 45 degrees. Straight. The first petals are all going out to the corners and straight ahead to the 4 corners already known. The 8, hence 8 circles, like you said. And then everything else, of course, as you can see clearly, is going at 45 degrees. These certain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plus 8 equals 16. And they was talking about the number 7 and its significance. Number 7 has significance as well within the whole aspect of, like I've been saying, I've been talking about 2 and 7. The number 2 is always present throughout all of this because you don't have any of this without symmetry. The symmetry is all based on 2 sides coming out to be the same metrics, similar metrics, the exact same metrics, which is a mirror. So a mirror, is always dealing with the number two. So the number two is always, you ain't really even got to call it a magic number, but it's always prevalent, especially when you're talking about geometry on this type of level.
Feet. The width of the design is about 200 meters or 218 yards, about the length of 2 football fields. This is another view of the design. It is located near the crossroad.
I appreciate it, Kelly, 100. Appreciate it.
The center of the design is clearly visible, as well as a portion of the circles that are plotted on the diameter.
Dang, man, that is crazy. See, this is some type of stuff that you would see put in a computer, and that's just being 100% real. This is something you would see done and put inside of a computer, man. Like, no exaggeration. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the number 8 going that way as far as, so it's 8, and it's 8 different rays, which is 64 circles, plus the 8 that he said was right here, which come out to be 72 in that case. So 72, 2 and 7, like I've been saying, is a very important combination of numbers. They right across from each other on my work, the numbers 2 and 7. 7 equals similar to, sever, to separate, which is what the number 2 does. When you got 2 of something, it's where the first separation comes, especially even on my diagram, the number 1 and 1 split apart to create 2.
The construction of this segment brings up an interesting detail that presents another mystery. The circles and the center of this design are created with rows of stones. On one side, the circles have been constructed with a dotted line that is difficult to spot. This would seem to indicate that the builder or builders used stones that were in the area around them. This brings up an interesting detail about this design. This design is invisible at ground level and still hard to distinguish from a small height, but viewed at a higher angle or elevation, it's clear that the designers created a huge, abstract, geometrically correct figure. That it could not be viewed at ground level or higher angle or elevation did not seem to concern them. Perhaps when the geoglyph was created, all details may have been visible, or perhaps it had been illuminated at some point. The mystery remains as to why it was built to begin with.
And when they say illuminated, see, water can illuminate something in that sense. See, up to the sky, see, the thing is about stars. When we put water down here, when we look up at the stars, their movement look kind of like water. It looks like water and its reflections and stuff like that, which is, highly significant. It looks a lot like water / whites, that comes into play of being very much similar. Well, from that point, with the whites and the water, down here with the as above, so below aspect, when we put water down here, if it were anything that was like a sheet, I don't like to say dome, but some sheet or layer above us, that there was life that could look down, so-called look down at us, because, the water that we would highlight down here, have down here, would shine up there, depending on how big the area is. Upon shining, it would look like the stars look to us down here, up there to them. That's how it would look. So, the lakes and like I always thought about the when they give us a picture of the earth and stuff like that. You would think that the water would be very much reflected when they give us pictures of the earth, because water acts like a mirror, a huge ass mirror. So them taking pictures and stuff from outer space and then saying that the sun is out there. And there's nothing, it is so big. It would be some type of huge mirror reflection going on there. The water will act like a mirror, even though, because cloud coverage isn't even taking up most of the earth, on the points where it ain't no clouds, it would be something going on there is what I see.
In with, who or what was it for? What purpose did it have? These are questions that are difficult to answer. Further investigation of the Nazca region continues to yield new discoveries that create even more questions. Some of these designs...
And see, one would probably say, well, how would that help us here? Okay, you found out how they did it back in the ancient times, but how would that help us here? Well, being that we have the technology that we have now, once you can insert something and once you know the actual terrain and what the earth is supposed to really look like, which is what you need, and you have to be higher up individuals in order to know the truth of that. If it's not the global earth, you have to know the correct map that you would need to use, which is what they know. They know that information. At the end of the day, if you can overlay what I've created and the information that it's revealing, dealing with the Nazca lines and water and geography itself and water underneath the ground, dowsing and things like that. Overlay it on the correct earth map, and the points is gonna line up by default where they're supposed to line up at, or everywhere on the earth. Then I can see with this technology that we got exactly where everything is supposed to be at. And everywhere that it's supposed to be a certain type of energy, it could be plugged in to tap into. It's just like a grand network, that's way deeper than and based on a real electromagnetic field discovery, with numbers and everything. Something that's already been out there, vortex-based math, because that's what they call and consider vortex-based math is the study of torus anatomy. And it's highly significant, man, because that's exactly what it is.
Lines have appeared in previous videos, but new details have only recently been uncovered.
These days, there is a lot to balance. But Grammarly ensures you communicate.
One example of this is a simple Estrella design. Located on a hill of natural or perhaps artificial origin, the central stone used in this design is clearly visible. It is surrounded by 8 stones located in a circle. 8 rays radiate from this circle and stretch quite far. The stones are arranged at
8 rays radiate from the circle. Wow.
regular intervals in a 100-meter circle. Beams were constructed without any particular distance between stones. This is a similar design. It is constructed in much the same way. A small circle of stones is also visible, a subject that I will touch on later. This is what it looks like from ground level. Stones are centrally placed with a diverging radius.
That's crazy.
These are the simplest drawings of this type. Here is an entire group of figures that are drawn very close to each other. This design is much more complex. It contains much more detail. This is what the internal structure looks like. Crosshairs, corners, and lines are clearly visible around the large circle. Unfortunately, this design has been covered with sand. A lot of it has been lost, and it is no longer possible to create a detailed drawing. Nearby, there is a design which is very similar to the mandala shown earlier. This is how the center of this design looks like from the ground level. The lines of it are very similar to the traditional Nazca lines. The next picture appears to represent concentric circles. These figures are approximately the same size. They are concentric circles that have diameters of 28, 56, and 112 meters. We
see 28, that number coming back up. It's not these numbers ain't what they are just in the metric system. See, and they're saying meters for a reason, because like I just said and showed, I go through every process that I went through for a reason. With the meter system, I just showed with the whole, what was the name of that video? I said, do you value gematria? And then I said that this is gematria at its core, and I showed that. And in that video, well, they showed that, and I explained, how it concurred with what I'm showing with my stuff. And all of this stuff is like it is for a reason. What they were doing, see, it's crazy why would they be doing this like this? What was I just saying in that video? I said, I'm not a religious person like that. I've been down that road before. And I said, I still have my heart open to it. If I was showed something that showed that it's the proof and 100%, it's the way, then, hey, man, I would be willing to say that I was wrong and admit that I was wrong. That's 100% real. That's just a fact. I don't have a heart, the bad heart to sit up and, not be able to admit that I was wrong about something, that's noteworthy and needs to be, take information that needs to be taken heed into. But think about it, it's crazy because that video was talking about the name of God. It said the name and everything, in Hebrew, and how important Hebrew was. It's crazy how everything that I've been showing, the symbol is being re-shown all throughout the earth. It's almost like some type of, Christ ain't coming. It's like the cross is coming back. Like when they're saying Christ come back, not only a person, because I'm a black male that's coming back, that's bringing it, but it's like Christ is a cross, and they symbolize Christ as the cross. And what am I being done? It's almost like I'm, even though people is trying to mute me out, because no matter what people, they, it's because they feel like they already know everything, and I'm being redundant. They feel like they know everything at this point about what I'm saying, and they can feel like that as much as they want to. But the descriptive, as far as the way that it's going, man, they don't even know that. That's the thing, man. And that's what I want people to miss out on, because the right people to miss out on, the wrong people to miss it. You get what I'm saying? But the thing is, what I'm saying is that video showed and was very explanatory on the fact that, the name of God was being communicated so much throughout that video, okay? The Hebrew name of God. What these people were saying was they were making these lines potentially to communicate with who? They say it's only visible from the sky. And the man who just, that's why I played the video I just played, the man who just said, this is crazy. The man just said that they were making those lines to try to communicate as well to God. To have mercy, because the name of the land was, the land of pain and suffering, which is what they called the Nazca land, because there was no water here or there, on that land. And what they did helped produce it and make it into a fertile area where it is livable at. So when people like, dreads do come out here and say things and bring things up about questions like how is these people getting their water and stuff like that. You That's why I say you gotta really on the other end you can question everything, but then you got the people actually who put their feet on the ground and do the work. Actually try to figure out some things and not just try to, debunk everything. You know, it's actually the one. It's funny how the one thing people will question everything, but have people question their number system that they use yet? They don't care about that as long as they get their money. That's all they care about. But the same people gave them their number system though, but they still use that. They ain't gonna turn that down though or question that. That's the funny thing about it. Contradictory, man.
We see
And
that the
that's
center is drawn on the top of a small hill, and the circles themselves are constructed along the terrain. Just 100 meters away, or 109 yards, we discovered the exact same image constructed in what appears to be the exact same way. Here is its center, the first circle, then the second. And we also
I said the number 28 because the thing is 28 comes up within my work because it's the double of 14. And like I said, with my characters, when you count 0 through 9, they come out to be 10 characters when you add the 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 equals 10 characters. But on my work, I moved in and made an X at the center by pushing in the 0, 45 degrees, and pushing in the 1, 45 degrees. That's not just pushing it in and turn out, but that's the cloning aspect. It's cutting it in half. It literally cut those numbers of 2 and 7 in half once I pushed that over 45 degrees. So I was thinking pushing it over, but at the same time, what it was doing was cutting those numbers in half. So it's like it was supposed to, everything that I did is like it's supposed to be how it had it set up. So it's like a real deal discovery, like it's supposed to be like that. And it can't be changed. When you find something like that can't be changed, it's a universal constant. And that's exactly what 45 degrees is. Because see, people will talk about the aspect of, up and down, left and right, but nobody talks about diagonal. That's the mystery that nobody talks about. And that's what I've been getting into. Everybody talks about left and, the 4 elements expanding all the other directions as far as, left and right and east and west, north, south, east and west, all of that. We hear that all the time. Up and down, horizontal. Nobody's talked about 45 degrees, which is the direct center line in between the both of those. And really, when you keep on cutting it, that's what equals infinity, because 4.5 is infinity. That's a fact.
So see how the largest of the circles was constructed. Why was it necessary to draw or create circles in such a complex way? Why was it created to begin with? Who was it created for? The circles do not appear to be perfect from images taken directly above it, but a lot of the perception depends upon the angle which the drone camera is shooting at. At a great height, the 2 circles appear to be correct. The greater the height, the more uniform the circles appear to be. What the purpose of this was, or who it was for, remains unknown. Is another similar drawing or design. It also features a similar arc that traverses along a rather deep ravine and a very steep slope. The builders who constructed this design did not need to place it in this exact area. There was enough free flat space nearby. Distortions of a large circle passing along the bottom of the ravine are clearly visible, and that's because of the angle of the drone's camera.
Я нашел 6 таких рисунков, нанесенных на подобный.
I found only 6 such drawings, 4 of which were applied to complex relief. Last year, when I gave a report on the Nazca Lines, I showed this diagram. It roughly shows the locations of estrella-like figures. On satellite maps, such images are practically invisible, and therefore it was made according to very indirect and imperceptible signs. It had been suggested that some of the estrellas could be connected by lines of stones. And this year, in February, I managed to make a trip and try to find the drawings in this place. Taking a trip like this was a risk. If nothing can be viewed from satellite maps of the area, it's quite possible that nothing will be found on the exact spot chosen for a closer investigation. The trip could have been a waste of time and not revealed much at all. This investigation would take us far away from the city of Nazca. It meant a trip across the entire Nazca Plateau, and then moving in the direction of the ocean using only local landmarks. There are no roads here. There are no bridges. If you wanted to cross this river, you had to wade across. Unfortunately, we had chosen a time of year where the river was quite full. There are no lifeguards here. One slip could result in disaster. Picking an area to wade across or ford the river wasn't always easy. This meant a lot of detours on trails that are very hard to describe as roads. It also requires a pair of good boots, as the investigation in this remote area required quite a bit of walking. Fate, however, smiled upon us. We did eventually find the right spot to wade through the river and make it to the other side. We did eventually reach the spot we had been looking for. However, this trip was still a gamble. We suspected something might be here, but we really wouldn't know until we could get a view from above. This is the area we wanted to be at. There were piles of stones that were located very close to the entrance of this gorge. But were they placed there by someone else? Or were they just a natural part of the landscape? We still didn't know. But as we drew closer, the cluster of stones in what seemed to be giant arcs made by rows of stones against the uneven hillside revealed that this deserved closer investigation. As it turned out, the journey across the Nazca Plateau would not be a wasted exercise. We had found what we came to see. The first pictures and video delivered by the drone camera revealed an amazing picture. It's a figure of some sort that appears to resemble a star consisting of 8 rays and then a complex system of circles. Untouched by time and the elements, this intricate internal construction.
I can't get over enough how many times this man is going to bring up the fact that these stars got 8 rays, 8 pointed stars. That's at 45 degrees. There's no way around it, and that's just not, they're not, it's other stars, of course. I mean, we witnessing, obviously these people who did this was very intelligent people. They know, obviously, about geometry itself. Lining up stuff with the stars. They created other stuff way beyond just, star shapes, which was monkeys. They showed that they could do complex shapes. Why in the heck would they choose to only choose an 8-pointed star? I know why. And that's exactly why I'm getting at what I'm getting at. It's amazing to me, man. This is something that everybody in reality, it's never been looked at on Earth. 45 degrees is where. That's why I say we're living in a fractal time, because our ancestors, you know, no matter how long it is, that's why I told people, you know, no matter if you came back, if you died right now and you came back 2,000 years from now, you was, as far as the time, as far as how old they say the Earth is, they say that it's 4.5 billion years old. What they telling people in their own words is we living in a fractal time. If you die right now in time travel, you know, because a human mind can't even, you can barely conceptualize what the Earth or what the future could potentially be 1,000 years from now. 1,000 years from now, what the future would be. See, back then it was easier to wonder and know. All that we can think about now at this point is some type of disaster coming and there being no future at all, or future starting over. You know, that's all that we can think about as far, because I mean, how much more advanced can you get with the technology than what we're at now? I mean, you can't advance it no more. We're at the peak of advancement with technology, so it can't get any higher. You know, so it's at the point of where you can't do nothing but go back down and start over. And that's why I say we're gonna go back into what is so-called a dark age. But this is the information age of the age that we're in right now. Because once this age does have to come to an end, but that's why it's important for us. And our age is gonna get back into putting stuff in stone over here, like and in Europe and things like that. That's why I show with the crop circles in Europe. Why are so many crop circles popping up in Europe? You know, that's the main place that they pop up. They don't pop up over here in the United States like that at all. And there's plenty of flat land over here. Most of the crop circles pop up in Europe. Why? I don't know. You know, but that has something is being communicated about the electromagnetic field of the Earth from there. You know, and then they're said to be, you know, it's crazy how people say the pyramids is fake and stuff like that. When this pyramids, they steady finding and you know, discovering and stuff that they ain't unscathed yet. You know, it's just so much that goes into it. You know, the acoustics and everything. If it was fake, you know, then it wouldn't be as is. You know, so that's wild. 8 rays.
Of this geoglyph features many different elements. The drone footage revealed shapes that can only be seen from above: crosses, points, lines, and intricate corners. Several separate circles are visible here, and there is also a star-shaped structure at the top of the hill.
Drone is taking area view. Yeah, he does. You know what he's
This
talking about.
is a whole group of previously undiscovered estrellas. Time and shifting winds partially covered the geoglyph with sand, and it also had been damaged by a nearby road. The true size and shape of this design is reflected in this reproduction. The solid and thick lines represent.
That is crazy how huge it is. That is crazy. That's amazing.
Rows of stones. Thin solid lines are drawn with a stick or foot. The dots are separate piles of stones. The dotted lines are virtual lines on which stones were placed in a regular manner. The star featuring 8 rays and the great circle form a single system. The circles on the right and the star at the top were most likely drawn separately. Interestingly, the 2 circles on the right have approximately the same slope and proportions as the circles on the tourist estrella, which was shown at the very beginning of the report and which is located miles away from this place. It is assumed that the authors of both estrellas are the same and that the people who constructed these figures pursued a specific goal. There is another important detail to consider. The thick gray dotted line in this illustration represents the center line of the piles of stones that runs through the gorge and connects all estrellas into a single combination.
I spent 25 years researching men living to 110 or 120. I discovered one food that these men who are 110 or 120 years old are eating. One food I believe is responsible for their incredible long life.
The next map shows a similar scheme involving large numbers of geoglyphs. 19 estrellas, or groups of estrellas, are united by a common line running along the bottom of this gorge and uniting all geoglyphs into a single combination. The total length is about 5.5 kilometers, or nearly 3.5 miles. At the 18th.
See, I want to say too, it's amazing how you're the only person that's in here. That's how you know when it's a clique of people that's moving with the same purpose and they talking about you behind your back. It's all right though. I ain't tripping. Cause like that's amazing, man. This is crazy. Like, cause this right here, man, is on a whole nother level of discovery, man. Like this is on a whole freaking nother level, man. You know, and I don't get how. I mean, he ain't even mentioned 45 degrees. I mean, he said the 8-point star. But me, when I look at it, I'm looking at the degrees, the aspect, because I know the truth and the depth of number. And then it's just crazy how it's one person in here right now, and I'm the only person talking about the Nazca Lines. Ain't none of these cats ever talked about this or brought this up. When they did get brought up, it was after I brought it up, and that's because people be listening to me. But now, that's why I brought up the fact it's crazy how you the only person in here. Because see, the thing is, it don't matter how much they go against me. It don't matter how much, you know, as a crowd, people try to move away from me to try to prove some type of point. It'll never trump the fact that, like I say, that God got me. So people want to try to tear you down by, you know, leaving you isolated and alone. That's why I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm glad that you're the only person here. I only want the right people around me, and that's it. You know, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. You know, because to be honest, it might end up being, I ain't gonna even say what it might end. I'm just proud of myself, man. This is crazy. Like, I don't think nobody else can get, man. Nobody else can get it to the degree that I'm getting it. Wow, that's great.
18th figure, however, the center line does not continue. The only exception to the diagram is the second geoglyph.
Okay, and I want to respond to what you said earlier because I saw that comment about the Grand Canyon. This right here could play a grand part in that. You know what I mean? This looks a lot like the Grand Canyon, a layout of it. You know, very similar to the aspect of it and how it runs through. When I think about that, that's just, you know, being honest. That's crazy.
It is off
because when you think about water and what they say the Grand Canyon used to be, that plays part.
Axis and consists of two layered images. One design is lined with rows of stones and resembles the central part of the tourist estrella. There are a large number of crosses and stones here, which appear to have been put into place as markings. This represents the coordinate grid for the second and possibly incomplete Mandala design, which has been drawn by tracing over the surface. The following represents a sketch of these unique designs. It is interesting to note that these designs are rotated in a relative way to each other by 1.5 or 2 degrees. Many Estrellas, which we have seen and will see, have small inaccuracies. This may be largely due to the carelessness and imperfection of the builder's tools, but it is also quite possible that sometimes asymmetry was introduced by the builders deliberately. The reason for this is unknown. Number 3 is similar to the design that was shown earlier. It represents a star that is connected to the opposite slope of this gorge with a ray. There is a circle on this line, which is divided into 16 parts. And this is what the other slope looks like. A stick or post is clearly visible on the star, which could have been used in its construction or played a role in the use of this geoglyph, providing it was constructed with a use in mind and was not designed to be artwork or the work of someone's vivid imagination. This design shows that the center line passes in the shape of a circle. The next geoglyph is number 4. This design looks much different from the previous examples. There are whole systems of symbols at work here, which may have a definite or important meaning. The quality of the design itself may also be significant. This example shows another unique sign in the form of 2 squares. They appear to be rotated relatively to one another and make up the central section of the mandala. For simplicity purposes, we'll call it a center or bud. Another noteworthy sign is how the axial lines interact with the geoglyphs. One line appears to go through the circle in an almost tangential or digressive way. The next axial line starts from the border of the center or the bud. This is geoglyph number 5, representing the bud and circles. The axial line here is still clearly visible. It stretches to geoglyph number 4, which has already been examined. At this location, the gorge becomes very narrow and makes a small zigzag feature.
See, the crazy thing about that axial line, that's I'm thinking about the name of their god and everything that they had. The name of their god they had was called the Vida Culture. And I don't know if it was multiple of them or, that the people won, but they don't have very much information on it. And they had something called the Path of Wisdom / the Path of the Vida Culture. And I think that this really has something to do with that, to be honest. I think that's exactly what this had to do with, to be honest. When you talk about communicating mercy from God and stuff like that, that's what this country is going to need, man. This world is going to need mercy like a mug, from a higher power. Even that, it's crazy.
The Estrellas here appear to carry a number of designations, such as possibly designating the turn of an axle. The next group is also unusual, consisting of a bud and triangles. The location of the triangles appears to indicate the slopes of the gorge itself. The next geoglyph is also a bud and triangles that appear to point along the gorge to the nearest open location. This is unlike any other Estrella, since the triangles appear to indicate turns in the gorge itself in the narrowest of areas, as if it were almost designed for aircraft entering or departing the area. The shots taken from the overhead drone at least seem to show this is what the triangles may have been for. A sketch of the 5th and 6th geoglyphs reveals another interesting feature. The adjustment of the angles of the geoglyphs to the axial lines is clearly visible. But what purpose did it serve? The seventh design is...
And the funny thing about them cats is, too, I know more about them than they think I really do. You the only one that's watching right now. I done paid attention to everything. I kept on making. I got a list that I done made. That's real talk. I pay attention to everything, and I say everything that I say for a reason. I know that these motherfuckers at the end of the day, I know something about a particular one. I ain't gonna even say it. I ain't even gotta say his name. But I know something about a particular one, and he know a little something. He doing a little something that I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna speak out because, like I say, I'm gonna keep it discreet. But I'm gonna just say that I know some information. I know about the whole being watched aspect. That's why I say people will say what they want to say behind your back, but they ain't gonna come at me direct about shit. That's the funny thing about it. That's why, things is like it is. Man. It's crazy, man. But it ain't nothing they can do. Period.
is remarkable in that the bud is superimposed on the triangles. There are several other geoglyphs that are remarkably similar to each other. The 10th design represents a simple bud that appears to mark an axial break. Other remarkable finds may reveal clues about when the geoglyphs were made, and possibly why. The 8th design, for example, has many prints or tracks that were made across it at a later date.
Not one of these things has come out to be anything outside of 45 degrees. If I took a compass right now, not even a compass, how do I know everything is at 45 degrees? Because anytime you have 8 rays, like I say, coming from anything, from a center point at congruent sectors separated from each other, that's 45 degrees. That's just point. That's why frequency is so important. You can know stuff like that without even needing a compass, and that's clear as well too, because the halfway point between a right angle, which is clearly visible within this, is a perpendicular. It's basically two perpendicular squares, two squares being turned perpendicular to each other. To a degree, 45 degrees at that specifically, and to create exactly what they created, which is the 8-point star or octagon. Star and store are actually etymologically, they are very much the same. So I've been thinking about that lately. Store and star. See, when we go to the store, that's where we go to get weed. Not weed, but yeah, weed, but other stuff too. Water is what I'm saying. You go get water from the store, so the stores is like the stars. Think about Walmart. Walmart and all of these different stores, the main stores that you see, they usually got a lot of star symbolism. I ain't gonna go down a big old list or nothing like that, but they know to use a lot of this stuff because stores is just like stars. They store energy. That's where everybody got to go to the store to get their energy. That's what every store is, an energy store. That's what a lot of these stores is built on ley lines and maybe even my theory right now is that not only the water isn't to think about because with the ley lines and the energy, because it's multiple aspects with it. You got other chemical flow that goes on down there. What about the oil is what I'm thinking about. So I know that this work should tie somewhat in with the oil. Like, what did our ancestors know about oil? Is what I wonder as well too when it comes to underground, and what significance did that play? Because the way that we're using it now is unknown. I'm looking at this. I got a low Wi-Fi signal right now. Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging the router into or moving closer to it. Well, that went away. Hopefully it's fixing everything. I hope it ain't too rugged and stuff and breaking up too much. But yeah, store and star is very much similar. I've been thinking about that a lot here lately. So target with the circles. It looks just like this stuff that I'm pulling up. Target, you know, looks just like the circles that he was like the 2856. What he was talking about, the rings basically. And a lot of people say that have to sync that with flat Earth and stuff, the rings. But that can be synced up with that here as well too. Just with the rings that they put, lower it up the rings as well.
Some of them belong to modern motorcycles which have traversed this area, such as the clearly visible trail on the 9th geoglyph. However, many of the tracks also appear to be uneven and may not have been caused by modern transport. It may be possible that an old road from an early Spanish colonial period passed through this section of the gorge. Large fragments of pottery from the colonial period, possibly made with a potter's wheel, could be found throughout the gorge. Footprints going over and through the geoglyphs are also easy to spot. They could have been made before or after the Spanish conquest. Other indications include pottery or ceramic that were not made with a potter's wheel. They were discovered on the geoglyph sites as well, which means they could have been made before European invaders arrived in Peru. A more accurate estimate of the time period in question could also be obtained by carbon dating tests on the half-rotted poles, which can often be found on the Estrellas.
Now, I know not to conclude on the carbon dating thing. I'm not saying that's just something he threw in there. I ain't saying I'm going with it, but that's something I'm not concluding with, the whole carbon dating thing. But that's something that is highly, significant and important as far as the whole dating aspect and when it was created and stuff. I can see that in my head. Yeah, it's the whole dating aspect and everything. That's something that is important and stuff. But the whole thing, when they do this stuff, is not just for no reason. That's what I'm getting. Even if this was something that was what I'm communicating, it's the 8-point aspect. The 45 degree. Every last one of these stars that we done went through so far, it's been 45 degrees. Every last one of them. They on the ground and you can see. So if it was something that was, that's my thing on it. Even if it was a so-called, as I'm saying from an even if standpoint, from a given leniency. But I know that this is something ancient based on the knowledge that I have about the Chicana itself and the Andean cross. I've talked with somebody who has actual, as far as Peru ancestors, because as far as being from Peru, and that I'm not from Peru, but as far as my Toltec ancestors, I have spoken on that, but my Toltec ancestors here in Arkansas specifically. But as far as Peru and everything, I have people that I've talked to specifically, and I know about the ancient history of this cross, and they thank me about what I've put out, the information I've put out about the Chicana and everything. Which is also called the Andean cross. So at the end of the day, this right here is going to be taken to a degree of knowledge to let people not only, from that area and geographic area, we know about these lines and everything. And then the question that comes up about whether, the age and the time when it was created and stuff like that, even if it was not, what, as far as if it was something that was a hoax, as they say, why is every single star at 45 degrees? Connection is good, no buffering. All right, that's good. But why is it, even if it was, every last one of them is, with spirituality and everything, we have talked about all different type of stars. We know how many different stars it is. It would be way harder to create a a 5-point star, like we witness and everything. They say the pentagram is sacred and everything. So we don't see a pentagram here at all. But they also say that the pentagram, that's what what they give you as far as the ley lines, the grid of the earth and everything, the theory grid of the earth that they give you right now for the ley lines is all shaped like a pentagram, a 5-point star. But we don't see that here. Every last one of them that we have seen is rays of a circle, 8 rays, which comes out like anybody with common sense and small knowledge on geometry and stuff. 8 rays congruently separated around the circle comes out to be 45 degrees, on a circle and everything. So, especially in the easy way to figure that out is if you see a right angle and a halfway point in between that right angle is going to come out to be 45 degrees, by default, because it's cutting things in half. That's why cutting things in half with these Nazca lines, it was so prevalent. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let this continue to play. And, as far as if this was not, that's why this is so important to me. If this were a hoax, even if it was, every last one of them is at 45 degrees. And I question why. What, because I know in this intricate time, this time that they took out to do what I know that this ain't nothing that was created recent. By the knowledge that I have, I've talked to, like I say, the people who had ancestors from that time and everything. And that's where, word of mouth does, come into play and stuff. It's no question about whether these things, was ancient or not. Like I say, I was just giving leniency by saying, what if, or, if somebody questioned that, well, you got this thing that's going on with this 45 degrees still. And the only people who knew about that was the Incas. That's just a fact as far as the knowledge that's even put out there, and that is accessible out there. That's the only people who knew. So.
We sent our drone camera to fly over the axial line, which clearly reveals how it was made. There are heaps of stones here, interspersed with short lines. The 17th estrella that we looked closely at is somewhat different from its predecessors and creates even more questions. It has an irregular structure and many of its details are not comprehensible.
See, think the number of things that we went through 17 of these consecutively, and every last estrella, every last star is 8 points. It could have been a 6-point star.
This point.
It could have been a 6-point star. 3, 6, and 9 is so important, right? Well, how come it wasn't 3-point stars? That was come on now, it doesn't make sense. These stars, these designs, for them to have done other designs of animals, monkeys, birds, and all of this different type of stuff that's way harder than this stuff right here. You mean to tell me that they couldn't create a simple 3-point 60 by 60 by 60 equilateral triangle? What do we call it, a Merkaba? You mean they couldn't have did that? I'm not talking directly to you. I'm just saying, speaking out loud to anybody who may watch this in the future. That right there is something that's highly important to think about.
Further investigation and study here may yield additional answers. The schematic drawing of the estrella provides a clearer picture. This design is connected by a straight line with what appear to be several figures. This would seem to imply an overall plan for this design. This may be a large group of several estrellas that are each more than 1 kilometer or a little more than half mile in size. It is crossed by several diameters on which short lines are clearly visible. From the ground level, this diameter is barely visible, but from above, it begins to take on an entirely new shape that appears to serve some sort of purpose. Stones were discovered on the slope. A row of stones were also found passing through the center of the geoglyph, which, by the way, looks incomprehensible and sloppy from the ground level. Further, the line passes through the center and stretches to the opposite slope and even slightly across the plateau. This is the end of the entire Estrella group. After the 18th, neither axial nor other geoglyphs were found. However, the area still merits further investigation.
Daily Harvest, you have made my life 10 times easier. It's breakfast time.
In addition, Estrellas have been spotted in other areas, one of which is not all that far away from the Estrella Gorge.
Dude, this is my favorite.
While it may be close by, it does not appear to be.
I had to say, this one right here is crazy, dude. Like, they went in on this one.
Connected with the axial group. This Estrella is also not visible on satellite maps and is nearly impossible to see from an airplane. It was discovered by complete chance. This is crazy, man. This is huge. Like, it's the most complicated Estrella that has been discovered to date. Moreover, after editing this video, it became clear that this was only part of what is likely a much larger picture. Even with the limited pictures and videos, it appears that the people who designed this had some specific plan or project in mind. By this, I mean that they knew exactly what they were building and designing and why.
I mean, I'm full out amazed by it. I'm looking at, and it's still coming out. These is coming out to be 8s right here. And they got things cut in section. It'd be crazy if this is exactly what I've been drawing out. Because it's coming out to be 8 right here in the center. And my stuff all come, I cut mine. See, once I got my stuff, especially that dream I was talking about, in that dream, the Freemasons had came to me and told me, they said, this is the closest it's going to get. Like, that's literally what they told. They said, this is the closest it's going to get. Putting together what I was doing. And these came, you know, when I draw it out, the closest it's going to get, the shapes come out to look exactly like this, and they got numbers in them, and it's cutting through half, like just like it's doing right here. And I remember the same exact feeling when I had picked up about the Nazca Lines in the first place. I know for a fact that my work goes into this exactly thing. And if I could do an overlay with this one, I know, man, whatever they was doing, it was for something either in the future, which is right now, you know, but that's what I was saying about the 4.5 thing. They know that no matter what, if they tell you the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, which is billions of years, you could come back a million years from now, and if they ask you how old is the Earth, that million years wouldn't change nothing. It'll still be, the answer would be 4.5 billion years. That's like being stuck in the same time, because we can't even conceptualize, like I was saying, even, you know, 1,000 years from now, maybe even 100. You know, a lot of us can't. So that's what I was saying before I forgot it. You know, is that at the end of the day, that's kind of what they're telling us. That's what I pick up on, at least, that they're telling us about a 4.5 billion years age of Earth and everything. So if we've been here, you know, for such, you know, however long they, you know, I don't know how long we've been, this Earth is, I don't know how old the Earth is. And I don't conclude on what they're saying it is, but I know for a fact that things are spoken in code. And I know that they pick things they pick for a reason. That's all I know.
There are a lot of markings and other small details around this estrella, which serves to partially conceal it.
See, this right here is 8 sides. One, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, yeah, you know the 8 aspect. So I'm gonna have to try to see if I can overlay this. I don't know if I'm pretty sure this is circling something. Wow, man. Because I sure do get an octagon right in the center of octagon-like thing.
The design, like many similar others, is applied over the ancient Nazca lines. Axis lines emerge from the figure, which may...
somebody would have to draw this out on paper first, man. So whenever this was created, papyrus was likely around, or hemp paper or something. Some form of paper had to have been around. To draw this ain't just done, man, without any planning. And that's why I tell people, when people can laugh and joke and say Mr. Crayola and shit as much as they want to, but without Mr. Crayolas like me, the earth wouldn't be. And that's just a fact. Nothing in the earth would exist as it is, as far as what men have created, that's useful, because everything that man creates is not destructive. For instance, the clothes that's on our back, a man or a woman had to design. The shoes that's on our feet, a man or woman had to design them. It got drawn out first. The car that we drive, it got drawn out first. The house that we live in, it got drawn out first. Same thing for this earth is what I'm showing people. It got drawn out first. Your thoughts and everything. Like I say, you are withdrawing your thoughts. That's why I say that. That's so important when I'm saying that you withdraw your thoughts, just like a bank. A thought bank, and that's why I say a soul bank. There's so much stuff I be going into, but this is crazy, man. This is a 45-degree triangle right here. It ain't perfect, and that's how now, so-called, how I know that it's crazy, man. This is crazy. I need to overlay this. I do. I strongly do.
May possibly end in other figures. Some diameters appear to go far enough, hundreds of meters.
You say I seem to be on the same level with this man, and he probably has a master's degree. Right, yeah, that's the amazing part, I don't have a degree at all. And, I think that's what a lot of people wouldn't like as well, is the fact that I ain't went through this and went through that, and I get what I get with ease, because the man, it's all about being given. I deserve what I get, and I ain't got a lot. And I'm proud for what I do have. And knowledge is one of the most worthy things in the world. And I'm going to make for sure that I put this knowledge to great use, like I am doing. Even right now, I'm roaring like a lion when ain't nobody here. Ain't nobody here, but I'm still roaring, man. I ain't tripping on nothing, I promise. Because at the end of the day, if I was tripping, man, I ain't even secure on that end, man. I'm already good, but I'm telling people, like, when you got this going on, like, nobody could erase, like literally, it's funny saying this. Nobody could erase this. Oh shit! Okay, hey, that one is funny, man. That one is funny, real talk. I don't care what somebody can say corny if they want to. I don't care. That one funny to me. Because the thing is, this shit can't be. It ain't been erased. It can be, but it ain't been erased. So I'm saying what I'm doing, it can't be erased, man. It's already there. I'm answering questions that people been wondering, and for you to say that, I really respect that. For you to say that you see that in me, as far as him, me seeming to be on the same level with him. I don't know what depth. To be honest, this man could be reading from a script. You have voice actors and everything. Excuse me. But so I don't take this as a personal into how should I put it? I don't take this as his own personal intelligence is the best word, and I guess I should put it in. You know that he's overlaying right now. This could be just a voiceover, and he's just getting paid because he got his voice. I can tell. You know, this is sounds like it's a job type of thing to him. You know, I might have to look back on other videos and see if this is actually a real person who uh, makes other videos and talks just like that. But it sounds like he's a professional voice, maybe not actor, but narrator. You know what I mean?
Meters away. This creates questions about who did this and why it was done. And it would be quite natural to talk about their authors and purpose. However, this will be part of another investigation. There are layers of these designs that are still being discovered. We know where some of them are, but not all.
It looks like something.
In all
from a
probability,
computer,
there
man.
are a lot more, and they raise new questions. In this diagram, for example, you can clearly spot a dark square between numbers 3 and 4. This is also a large image with an axial line that passes through
Now
it.
this is where I said, wow. This is where I said, wow. This is where you probably gonna get blown away. I'm not even playing with you, Kelly. This is real talk. I'm not even. I ain't cussed really like this whole time. I'm not even fucking with you right now. I'm being so real. If you can see, because I know you say that you got bad eyes and everything, but this one right here is so freaking important. Now, this man just clearly said that within that map that he pointed out, he said there's a black square that's in the center. So that black area that he put right there specifically, think about that and think about my work. Think about my work specifically. Because what I'm about to show you right now, when you see this right here, this is crazy. So the black, what do I have within my stuff that's black? It's the center point that I've been showing. The magnetic black stone / thing, the square / cube. Like I just released a video just earlier today about the quartz. What's that? Man, I be doing so much different work and posting stuff places. Pixels and things like that. Yeah, earlier. The pixels and the square, the cube, the lattice and everything. So this right here is the lattice that I've been talking about. I could literally pull you up the Freemasonic lodges that got this exact design. That's why I say these Freemasons, this right here, it got to deal with them too and I ain't gonna even get into that. But what I'm about to show you right now on my drive, this is crazy. So he said the black center stone. I said, what the hell, bro? Just 1 second. This is what I got. What's at the center of my work? This is exactly, you see how I got everything cut in half? Everything that I've been doing is cutting everything in half. And it creates a square, just like I got the square tilted at 45. I mean, everything that you see right there, it's just like the same exact thing. And he said a black square. Why would you symbolize that as a black square? You could have just said a square. They know what they're doing. Is what when I say speaking in code, this is the this octagon type thing that I was talking about. Like everything is at 8 rays. The number 8 is not about the significance of the number 8. They're not going to say about the number 9 if they withholding any type of secret at all. The number 9, because that 9th point, that center point is what matters. It generates everything. For without the center point being centered, nothing else would exist. Everything else falls apart. The equilateral essence of everything. So that's crazy, man. Looking at that right there, it looks exactly like this. And then when I think about the Nazca Lines and how the map was pointing at certain areas and stuff, all I got to do is continue my study on my own map. Continue to study the Nazca map, and I'm gonna figure this out, man. I got faith within myself, like real talk. This right here, bro. It looked like I could take what I drew almost and just put it right on top of it, and it'll leave an indenture like that in the center. Because even this right here in the corners almost look like the squares that I got up here. It almost, that's crazy, man. But this thing is almost over, and I'm gonna let this play. And I just have to point that out. And then the numbers. Look at the time, 333. See, stuff happened for a reason, bro. I done been on here and been showing stuff to y'all, and it stopped at 45 seconds when I'm talking and expressing the 45-degree knowledge to y'all all the time throughout the video. That ain't happening just for no reason. That's crazy, man. That is crazy, dude. Man, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I'm just being real. I told you I was special too. Yeah, for you to not be able to see like that, yeah, you special to see what other people can't see. And I used to say, guess what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I said that as like a little, when I was in school and stuff. I said that to a girl to get her, one of my, actually my only girlfriend that I had in school. It stopped with her, but that. And I wasn't supposed to be doing what I was doing then. I was sneaking. But anyway, I told her, I said, if my eyes was blind, I said something along the lines of, if I was blind, I could still see your beauty, or something like that. And that just got to her heart like crazy, man. So whenever you say something like that, like I told you I was special too, when you can see what other people cannot even see, and you got the no eyes, really, like you got eyes, but you don't have the eyes like you used to and everything. That's very important. Yeah, I see what you're saying. If he is just reading, it's still somebody's work that's being presented. What do you mean? Like right, yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's just reading, you know what I mean? That's just narrating pretty much, and it could be somebody else's writing, and or he's going by a script basically. He's telling people what they got the information basically already outlaid, and they telling people what they want you to know. Could be potentially what's going on there. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna get this plan for you.
It appears to belong to another mysterious group and type of geoglyphs. These include strange drawings, as well as geometric images that are applied to the ancient Nazca geoglyphs and appear to interact with them. This investigation shows that they exist, but the meaning of them hasn't been determined. It's only safe to say that there are a lot of them. Not all of them have been photographed yet.
Man, I strongly feel like I was one of the. I got a feeling right now with everything that's going on running through my veins. I'm not playing. I feel like I was one of these people. Even as I'm the type of person, to be honest, when it comes to this psychic type of energy and stuff that I be trying to explain with the drawing and everything, with the imagery, when I see certain places, because mind you, with this technology, it's brand new as far as to us in this time and era that we're in. We ain't always been able to look at and just see another place that we ain't never touched, from that's way on another area, but we got that ability now. So when I think about time traveling and things like that, it's all got to deal with the senses, bringing the senses and feeling of a place to you. When I see places like this, man, look at this picture and look at this desert and stuff like that, it gives me like a flash type of feeling, real quick. You know what I mean? A real quick type of flash, like you just put that symbol. And I don't know how to really completely explain it, but it's like almost like I could feel like I was there, and I created that. And I don't know, because it just it amazes me, man, to see myself create. How am I doing this is what I'm wondering. And I don't know how the heck I'm doing this, and I ain't getting this knowledge from anybody. I've never studied this stuff in my life, you know. And why me of all people, you know, with the 45 degrees of all people and out of all time, that just amazes me so freaking much. It's one of them. I'm just at a time in my life where, you know, I'm figuring out as much as I can about myself. And it's and I can't believe that it's having to deal with what they call God, what a lot of people refer to as God. I see that it's buffering too. I hate that, but you know, it is what it is. I hope that it, you know, clear up and everything. But it's the fact that it's dealing with what they call God and God's name. Like I'm saying, the fact that 2 videos ago I was just showing with gematria and everything, with the video called about the value of gematria, and they was talking about the name of God, and that same shape, the 8-point star came up within that video. And here we is now, the 8-point star. This is stuff that nobody's ever talked about like that. And, you know, because you hear people talk about the 4 corners aspect of the earth. You hear people talk about up and down, left and right, you know, horizontal and vertical. But nobody's talked about the X, which is the vertical, not vertical, but diagonal, which is 45 degrees, the center in between the two. That's, man, that is crazy, dude. This is amazing.
Another trip will be required to document them and hopefully find out what purpose they may have served, if any. However, we can make the following assumptions about what has been discovered. These designs were not recently created and are not designed to draw tourists to the area.
45 degrees.
More than 100 of geoglyphs like this have been discovered so far, and it's likely there are many more.
And Kelly, remember what I said earlier about the triangle, about them? They could have chose any other triangle they wanted to. This is proof of it right here. This is the only triangle that I done seen that ain't at 45 degrees, and I know it ain't, you know, with common sense. That's not a perfect right isosceles triangle. That's almost looks like a 60 by, you know, an equilateral triangle right there. It almost looks like. So if they could do that, they could have did that elsewhere. But what do you see within the center of that? Those 2 triangles. You see an 8-point star, which is at 45 degrees. These people, they was very smart, and they knew about what, it's either they know what I knew from even a deeper level than I know. And I strongly believe, and that's what I believe right there. I'm willing to take belief in that from what I'm seeing, because that's all I can do at this point until I can, which is what I'm going to continue doing. Compiling knowledge and getting this organic knowledge on it, you know, from trial and error, you know, being real with myself and everything, you know, because these people had to have known about it deeper than me, because they know more about the stars. I know that for a fact. Why would they choose this to only be, you know, 8-point stars, which is all at 45 degrees? And they could have chose, you know, the easier, you know, less work even at that of, you know, a 6-point star. That's really confusing.
They are also scattered over a fairly large area that correspond to the ancient settlements of the Nazca population.
And I also wonder, what are the rocks? What type of rocks are those? You know, I'm pretty sure they got some special rocks that they use. And if not, you know, what was in the center, ain't no telling, you know, when they found these lines, it could have been stuff in the center or anything, you know, something valuable out there pretty much, and but they claim they still finding them and stuff like that. I ain't just taking their word with 100% everything. It's certain stuff I question, but based on common sense, like I say, when you talk to people who got ancestors from this area, and they thank you for what you're doing at that and what you're finding, and find it amazing, you know the history. You got ties to, you know, South America, but you're trying to find out if your blood is, you know, Peruvian. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm trying to do at this point. Because it's so much out of everybody in the world, out of all of the people who live in this land, I'm just trying to figure out why me, and then how the heck does Peru tie into because Hebrew is way on the other side of the earth, man. You know, Hebrew is way over there. So that's why I say what I'm doing right now over here is really doing and picking up on some serious stuff, man, because see, the Americas, they got a lot of speculation on the Americas, you know, and what it really is, you know, how special the land is over here. You know, I've heard some very special and very informative stuff on it. And it's really starting to make me question some stuff right now, man. I'm starting to get the heebie-jeebies, you know, from this stuff. This is crazy.
Many of these geoglyphs are drawn on the traditional Nazca lines. Fragments of ancient ceramics can often be found on the Estrellas, which indicates their pre-Hispanic origin. Another point to make is this. Archaeologists now believe that the Huari culture of Peru absorbed the Nazca culture and people.
This scared the shit out of me, man. I ain't gonna lie. Think about if you walked it, you know it's got to be some type of spiritual energy / ghost about here. You know, with the dowels and rods and stuff. Like, man, I saw this. That's actually a body, I think. And I'm not gonna conclude, but I know that that's a skull. You're gonna see another one right here. So this kind of threw me off. I was like, that's crazy, man. That's kind of scary. Like,
the Huari culture is credited for creating the Tokapu, which is a...
Now you see that? You see that? You can't tell me. That's the grand thing, and that's to cap it all off at the end. You see that? You can't tell me I'm lying. Now, that's exactly what I've been doing. That's crazy. This is exactly it. It's the Chicana. Now, what I learned from this at the end is the new name that the man introduced me to, Tocopelli or whatever his name he just said. Now that's where I started doing my what you call research, because I don't know nothing about that. So what's the only way I can find out more on the civilization I don't know about? Either I can go find the people in person, or I can go online and read as much as I can. I choose on my end to do an even, canopy of both of them, because I find both of them important, but more so I find contacting the people, talking to the people who actually from the land and knowing and got history, in some type of way connection, to find out the real organic truth. Because reading up on stuff, it's only gonna get you so far. But as you can see, everything, even the squares that ain't got the Chicana in it, they at what? Everything is at 45 degrees. Every last aspect. So this is something, a part of reality that people just ain't picked up on. But P.R. Corey is the first person in the world to do it, and I'm amazed. I can't believe it. I cannot. But it's almost like a present from God. Like, and it got in a communication from God at that. I've been predicting stuff and everything, let alone. It's a form of communication from God, and I'm just thanking God through my walk of life every day. It ain't a hallelujah type of aspect, you know what I mean? I don't want people to get me twisted and think I'm falling into a religion aspect, but I'm a very open-hearted person, and if I'm wrong about something, I'm very, very open to admitting my wrong. And if I got showed proof, I've always said to myself, they forced us to believe in a Jesus, but if I could get shown proof of, because after Jesus and all of that, I fell into the pro-black Hebrew. I actually became a Hebrew Israelite to a degree. I was before I became a flat earther and just said, drop everything, drop the pro-black, dropped all of that stuff, and really just saw everything as, I was always about 100% peace for everybody and unity, but the fact is, because I started a white flag movement when I was 19 years old, and that was to promote peace for gangs and everything like that. I stood out by doing that. When you stand out, you put yourself out as a risk automatically, especially, a lot of gangs ain't trying to hear that, about peace. And there was some niggas who wasn't, but them same niggas respected me though, because they realized how much of a risk it even took, how much heart you got to have to stand out like that, and not even care about nothing and nobody thinking about you. like I stood out like I'm messing with, all type of big time people. My face all out there, and it's a lot of people respecting me. Once I started going down this road and waking up, that's when my support levels and stuff started going down and going down. The more I talked about stuff that meant something, the more my support levels went down. And the more I talk over here, it's like the more I talk about what's the truth, and I keep on blowing people away, and they keep on thinking they got me on some type of level or something like that, and I always come back on the upper hand to push them away. They can't help but they still be glued around. You know what I mean? Because like I say, my numbers ain't dropped. I I don't know if they do it just because they think it make me mad or something, but honestly, I think that at this point, like I say, it's got to be because I'm amazing folks, and even if because niggas, it's not even amazing at that point. It's that they can sense that it's gonna go somewhere. They see the common sense of it. They see it, how much you can't even argue with the truth that's being brought with it. They see how on point it is. Because when you ask, what have people learned from the 45 and 4 and 5, shit, man, you can see it all right here in your face. And then, like I just said, every last star, I'm showing people information about the 8-point star, which is what I was showing people that day when some nonsense went on. But I've always tried to be on the knowledge type of tip, man. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I just don't like when nobody try to distract me and make something wrong out of when it don't need to be wrong. I ain't got time for tests. I ain't got time for none of that stuff, because honestly, if niggas trying to test me, they gonna fail their damn self. They trying to test me, they gonna fail their own test. You know what I That's so funny shit. If a nigga trying to test me, they gonna fail their own test. That's the thing, because I ain't got, I don't have to fit nobody's repertoire in order to, be around them. I ain't gotta expect, these people respect don't mean nothing to me no more. I don't care about their respect. They not worthy of my respect, is what I've been shown. A lot of them, so all the respect that matters to me is God. That's it. And when you got stuff like this, like I say with Christ, I've been showing people how a lot of me and what I've been talking about, is very synonymous with Christ. And how it has been depicted with the 33 degrees, the crow, everything that I've been showing. But when you think about Christ, what is Christ on the cross? The cross is right here. This is a cross that's not prevalently known throughout the world. Not too many people know about this cross right here, this Andean cross, the Chicana. Nobody. And furthermore, nobody knows about the true science behind it. Not even the people themselves know about it. But here I am from the United States, what they call the United States, Arkansas. And I got Indian ancestors. I clearly got Indian in my blood. I know that for a fact. But all I'm doing is I'm just tracing it. That's why I say I'm in my root chakra still. I'm still finding out about my roots. I ain't left my root chakra yet. I'm studying myself. I'm doing organic, real. I'm really figuring it all out. Because this memory thing is one thing about money. You can't take no money with you. You can't take no materialism, no materialistics with you. But only thing that you can potentially take with you is the memory that you put inside of your mind and through your body, and more so in your Taurus field, which is the DNA. It's like a fractal. It's like you just a fraction of DNA, which is what this is right here. Is this? That's what numbers like us. It's crazy how everything come back to, but I'm just so on point with it, man. It's just crazy and amazing to me. I never ever thought it would be like this. That's crazy, man.
Set of signs that are often depicted on textiles and ceramics. And these symbols are very similar to the details of the Estrella designs or geoglyphs that have been just recently discovered. It's also possible that, given the later age of the Estrellas when compared with the Nazca Lines, that these creations were just a continuation of the construction of geoglyphs. It's also possible that these developments took place in the Huari culture, which...
I want that one so bad. See, what these people could do is if I showed them my information and we talked and everything, if I could talk and communicate with these people and everything and take my work and everything and really explain to them the depth of what I figured out and stuff like that and get an overlay. I need to ride on the I need me a plane ride schedule with them to ride over this terrain, really talk with them and figure this out because I know I'm on point, I'm with it, and that's just a fact. This right here is like some type of computer. People would think that if an alien did this as a crop circle, I mean, not as but people would think if this was a crop circle, people would think an alien did it. What I'm trying to say, I said that backwards. People would think an alien did it. This right here is that's why I said, when you see that title template, the thumbnail, it looks just like the Nazca line that just got showed. I'm gonna rewind it real quick, which is the main one that I've been showing.
To the details of the Estrella designs or geoglyphs that have been just recently discovered. It's also possible that, given the later age of the Estrella,
it looks just like that, the crop circle. And what I'm getting at is that that's not man-made within itself. That was one, these certain crop circles, you can tell by the complexity of them that they not man-made. And when they set on top of a certain, the lines and everything, how they lined up, whatever the energy is that makes them crop circles, the one that made it in England and made it just like this one right here, whatever it was, it did it for a reason. And why do all of the crop circles pop up in England is why I wonder, what I wonder too. That's very questionable to me. So many of them.
Estrellas, when compared with the Nazca lines, that these creations were just a continuation of the construction of geoglyphs. It's also possible that these developments took place in the Huari.
And then the other thing is, all I know that I can finalize too is that these people, my ancestors, they knew that at the end of the day, it's either one or two things. It was some flying technology that they had going on, because that's the only way that you can view this. It's either one or two things, flying technology, or it's something that they knew about, a higher power that's above us that can read stuff like this, and this has some type of effect on the environment or just life period, for them to be able to do that, can see everything that's going, the great architect of the universe. What would an architect do when you look at, that's why I showed y'all at the beginning of this stream, everything I do is for a reason, significant reason. The beginning of the stream, I showed the great architect of the universe. It was the first thing that I showed. And that picture that you see, you saw the Mandelbrot within it. Well, that was a picture that was created, even though it was a white man. That's why I say you gotta, even though you question everything, and it's just because something comes from white people, I question this to everybody. It's just because it comes from white people, does that automatically make it wrong by default? Because honestly, that's being racist. I understand and I comprehend that these people took certain knowledge from us and that they give us knowledge that's not 100% real. And a lot of it's 100% false. But I'll be darned if I sit up and act like every single bit of knowledge that they give us is fake. Some of the stuff is real that they even find themselves. And the fact is, looking at, man, it's some stuff just lining up. Too much is lining up.
A culture which continued up until the Spanish conquest of Central and South America. Theories abound about who created the Nazca Lines.
I cut myself off and thinking of, but the great architect of the universe, like I say, that picture that I showed at the beginning, it was made in 1250 AD is what they say. It was made in 1250 AD. But the thing is, how did the Mandelbrot set, how was that drawn and available to be seen right there? when there was no computers to generate the Mandelbrot set, which was created way on down the line. And then when you think about things like the Mandela effect, and they talking about Mandala and Mandala, they both like Mandela and the geometry Mandala. Uh, they're not spelled the same, but they sound darn near the same. You almost probably couldn't tell which one I was saying just then, which is the beginning word of Mandelbrot, which a Mandelbrot set looks just like a mandala, pretty much. It's a generated mandala. So when you think about the Mandela effect, things, different realities and stuff like that crossing up and stuff. That's where I question with stuff like that too. Even though I feel like I've debunked it clearly in the past with the essence of bringing up, taking a picture of something at a certain time. If you took a picture of like the Berenstain Bears book thing, like people are taking pictures of certain things. You mean to tell me that everybody who took a picture of a Berenstain's Bear book back in the day, that would mean that if the words on the books change, that means that everybody's picture who took a picture and they said a certain thing, that would mean that everybody, the numbers magically change, not numbers but letters magically change on the pictures. You know what I mean? And there's people out there who got pictures and stuff. They do of stuff like that. So I mean, that just wouldn't make sense. That's where I felt like I debunked it clearly with that, and a lot of people resonated with that too. But I'm still open to stuff if with things like this, how could the Mandelbrot set be in a painting when it was created way on down the line when computers wasn't even around? Or is it something that we ain't knowing about that could have been going on? Who knows? That's something important. But I bring that up because when it comes to circles, and the great architect of the universe, and everything that I just showed you, and upon what I call myself as well, the great architect and stuff like that, with my work, all of that stuff lines up, like I say, the Masonic square. A lot of people say everything that they say about Freemasonry, but I remember hearing all the time from people like even my father himself, and then people on down the line to say, stuff like Freemasonry came from us, but it is whitewashing is something that they stole. They stole what was our stuff and they twisted it and everything like that. And that's something I can get that and I can concur with it. But then you get to the point of where everybody who says that, you get the people who feel like they're going deeper and they say, get to saying the stuff about Kemet and stuff and proving that, Kemet, is paying this and paying that and all of the faulty things with Kemet, and they start showing how your ancestors was corrupt on their knowledge and that they should have been doing it this way, and about the mother and stuff like that, but it's a whole bunch of stuff that just comes into play with it, and all I know is I just focus on that's why I dwell away from that, because with all of the mother father aspect, whether we should be worshiping the woman and whether we should be worshiping the man, I see a balanced type of aspect on my end. That's how I feel, because that just wipes out all of the stuff. I'm not gonna be kneeling down to no woman who can be just as fucked up or worse fucked up than a man. That's just how I am as a man. I don't see every woman just because they feminine and stuff like that. I ain't gonna be just because I'm a man and because they give birth and stuff like that. I'm just not the type of man that just look at it like, they the women and stuff like this. You gotta kneel down and them, give them everything. Nah, man. Your character and stuff speak. You gotta hold yourself up to a certain tier of character, knowledge, gnosis, and stuff like that. Just like a man would. You not be like a man, but as a woman in that context, or I'm not gonna respect you. And that's just how I am as a individual. I ain't even got to say as a man. I just try to focus on being a correct human being. That's all I try. Because people, you ain't a man, and all of this. People got their own categories of statutes and measures of man. The next a military man. Some men in the military feel like if you ain't go down that road, you ain't no man. And everybody got their own measure. So I ain't messed up about what people think a man is, because at the end of the day, everybody only gonna think what they think. All I know is what I know, and that's that I'm a human being, and nobody can get around that. And that's why I say I focus on being a correct human being through my actions. And this is just this is just something that's so fundamental and important. Man, it's just crazy. This
And why?
architect thing. It all
Anthropologists,
started from. I'm
ethnologists,
saying
and
one thing.
archaeologists alike have studied these areas extensively. Some suggest they were created to be seen by ancient gods.
Mm.
Still others suggest the figures suggest constellations of stars in nearby solar systems. And there
That's what I
are
was saying. I focus more on numbers and stuff, because not like making numbers my god, but at the end of the day, I think from a deeper perspective than most people. Who is God's God? I ain't saying that I'm better than most people. I'm saying that most people, I think, a lot of people. What would be God's God? Well, God is synonymous to guide. I say this so much. God is synonymous to God. I'm not the first to say that, but I say that a lot because it's true. But the fact is, when it comes to guiding God, what would guide God? Numbers would guide God. Time itself, doing something at a certain time on at a certain frequency. The frequency of the heavens and stuff. See that clock right there? How fast that's moving and stuff like that to the creator of all of this. See it right now, that's thousands of years. This celestial line up might be, but in God's eyes, slash the creator's eyes, that really might all just be a day. And we're talking about a fractal consciousness and everything like that. You know, a real revolution, and time itself, loops of time. And this stuff is so important, man. When you because with time, the numbers, and all of that stuff. That's why with the base of my stuff, that's why it's so important, because you stop at the number 9, and it doesn't go nowhere from there. Mostly, everything that you look at, even the clock itself. Yeah, you got 12 hours on the clock, but 12 wraps around. It's a number that wrapped around after 10. It's the decimal system still. It doesn't go. It's not a base 12 system. You know. It's still going by base 10 and looping and creating the number 10, 1 and 0, 11, 12, and then coming back to 1. So that's why the number 10, the decimal system slash the metric system, when they was talking about the name of God and everything, all of this stuff it all come back together. And that's how I know I'm on point. It's 8-point star, the name of God, the tetragrammatron, when you think about stuff like that, Yahweh, all of this stuff. That's why I'm learning, man. I'm learning as much as I can. I want to go somewhere great when I pass away from here. But I feel strongly that we all come back here. But I know that my life is supposed to be about dedicating it to making life better for others. And the best way to do that is through knowledge. Knowing how to send people down the correct way and not lead them down the wrong way. If my people knew more, the main riches that you can have really in the future is going to be water. Where is water at? Being able to find water. For certain people, it might even need to be a secret, in the future when you're talking about water, and scarcity. But we talking from a realistic perspective. Most of the water that we drink is bottled water. And so much of the water is polluted and contaminated. It ain't too much clean water that we really access, but that's what they keep us from thinking, at least. A lot of it is underground, and we just ain't got access to it. But knowledge like this is what'll help my generations down the line. And I'm just glad that I could set up something and do something that could really contribute to endless time. This is something that's going to forever be known. So even if I passed away today, no matter how much money I have made or not made in my life, I made it. I did it. I real talk did it. And that's why I focus so much on my name being, you know, remembered, and people really, respecting my name and adhering, to my name with what I've done. In the 45 degrees, number 45, that ain't nobody ever came out and talked about this, and anybody does in the future. They clearly jacking me 5 and 4, anything with those numbers, because I'm going through it all. I'm lit. When you talk about the number 8 with 5 and 4, That's the thing. When you divide 5, 5 over 4 equals 1.25. So 1 plus 2 plus 5 equals 8 automatically. 4 goes into 5, 1 and 1/4. There's your quarter right there again, 1 and 1/4. The quarter is 0.25. 2 plus 5 equals 7, and 2 and 7 are polar opposites on my work, like I've been saying with the quarter aspect, and 11 with the decimal point. 11 equals 1 plus 1 equals 2. So, and 2.25, for 22.5 with the 45-degree, it goes deep, man. It's crazy.
There are some who believe they have something to do with the directions of winter solstice and equinox sunset. The purpose of the Estrella figures and why they were made may never be discovered. They remain as much of a mystery as the Nazca Lines, which continue to create new theories as to why they were built and who or what they were built for.
That can remind you very much of the Grand Canyon, like you brought up. And that's just straight up. But it's crazy because I'm finding out as well that the Estrellas, they're considering those separate from the Nazca Lines. And I will get why. Excuse me, because when you look at the Nazca Lines, they are actually pavement drawings, and some of them have rocks incorporated, but very few of them, honestly. Pavement drawings. These Estrellas that we just witnessed in this video is mainly rocks, rock coordinates at that, set in a certain place for a reason.
Catch the live news, sports, and shows you love with 85 plus top channels.
Oh man, I was muted the whole time. I did not know I was muted the whole time, but I was talking about how this right here is the Masonic is the Masonic square, and it, I don't even need to get into it. I guess I don't need to talk about it. It was quiet as a mug, the whole time for y'all, and I was talking, man. Damn. But I was saying that this right here is the 45 degrees. This is the degrees up above. You know, this is the excuse me. My name is PR. The name of this rite of Freemasonry specifically is called the Primitive Rite, PR, of Memphis. And Memphis is where I stay. In America, I stay right by Memphis. I'm just showing the synchronicity of why I know that I'm on point. And this right, they say the G stands for God and stuff like that. And there you see the Hebrew letter right there. Right there in the center. So you got the the 8-point star right there, which is at 45 degrees. And yeah, I see you. Good night. Great presentation. All right. Okay. I'm glad that you stayed around. Thank you, Kelly. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I appreciate you. I'm gonna let y'all go, man. I appreciate everybody who came through. Peace out.